We're back again this week, and we've got Juanita Smith as our guest. Thanks for coming on State of Mind. And Juanita Smith is an addiction specialist. She's come out with a book, a very good book on a lot of things about different addictions and different things around that and ways to deal with it. And she's currently got Activate Hypnotherapy, and that's some of the ways that she's dealing and helping a lot of the clients. And what are some of the things? What's the difference between habits and addictions? Because you've written something in your book about that, and that's the title of your book, really. And yes, I didn't get to bring it.
Is it a habit or an addiction?
Could you explain the difference between a habit and an addiction?
Okay, well, actually, there's no difference between a habit and addiction. Do you believe me? So, look, a habit is something that you've created through repeated action. So you've done it over and over again. You've created a habit that's out of your control. It's an unconscious behavior. And an addiction is something that you've repeated over and over again, that you've created, that is an out of control unconscious behavior.
Now repeat that again.
Yeah, no worries. So if someone has, say, an addiction to cigarettes,
yes,
addicted to cigarettes, okay, that's because they created a habit. It's the same thing, a habit and addiction. They're addicted to smoking. They've got this unwanted habit of smoking. It's the same thing. So if you've got an addiction to something, whether it's the pokey machines or eating chocolate or biting your nails even, or smoking, it's something that you repeated over and over again until it became automatic, and it just became an unconscious behavior that you do on autopilot.
But of course, there's things around, it's a drug as well. That is it the drug, or is it the actual habit that causes you to want to repeatedly do something? And it's because there's many different drugs out there at the same time. Yeah. And I'm guessing a lot of this can be helped with hypnotherapy. Is that correct? Could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about, like, if you're thinking maybe a drug, and maybe once again, you're thinking, say, I work with a lot of people for cocaine. They can walk in. I mean, I work with a lot of people for cigarettes. I work with a lot of people for cocaine. They can walk in, and before they see me, they get these uncontrollable urges, these cravings. And then once we break that habit in the unconscious mind, even though that might still be in their body for the next few days, they've got no cravings or urges, because it wasn't coming from the substance they were putting in their body, it was coming from the habit. So if I work with people for cigarettes, it's a 97% success rate. I've worked with thousands of smokers, and they walk in a smoker and they walk out a non-smoker, even though the nicotine's still in their body for the next 1 to 3 days, they've got no cravings.
They no longer have the cravings, but they still
because it was never coming from the nicotine.
Do they still have that downside of?
No, because it was coming from the unconscious mind. So it's not. So nicotine's not addictive. So if you think about it, I might get a smoker. Sometimes I'll get a smoker, and they're like, "Really, nicotine's not addictive?" And then I'll say to them, "Well, how do you get on going on a 20-hour flight across the world as a smoker?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm fine. They don't need a doctor. They just watch a movie. They sleep. They eat. They're not ill. As soon as the plane lands, they get a craving for a cigarette. If the plane was delayed for 2 hours, they wouldn't get that craving for another 2 hours. So it's a psychological addiction or unwanted habit. So nothing to do with nicotine. So that's why patches don't work. So a lot of people try and quit smoking with a patch. They put a patch on their body, they're flooding their body with nicotine, but no one gets addicted to patches, and it doesn't stop the cravings.
So it's bringing the a lot of that unconsciousness to the consciousness side of things, to make them aware of the things that they're I guess they're not sure what they're
Well,
realizing.
Well, so I'm, as a hypnotherapist, I work directly with the unconscious mind. And so our conscious mind is about 5% of our mind, and our unconscious mind is 95% of our mind and thousands of times more powerful. So our unconscious mind is all our past memories, all our past experiences. We learn something consciously with our conscious mind, and then it becomes automatic in our unconscious. So, for example, you learnt to tie your shoelaces, and now you don't have to think about how to tie them. You just do it on autopilot. You learnt to drive a car. Now you don't have to think about how to do it. Your body remembers. You can drive a car, and you can have a conversation with someone. The car's not going to stop driving because you can drive it on autopilot because your unconscious mind remembers. I can touch type. I learnt to touch type at school, in the old days with the big, huge, clinky typewriters, and I can still touch type. But I'd never be able to draw a keyboard and tell you where all the letters are to this day. I still don't know where all the letters are on the keyboard at all. It's just my body remembers, though. My body and unconscious mind remembers where the letters are on the keyboard, so I can touch type.
That's interesting because but from memory, a lot of the things that we remember and as well as the habits are actually an emotion. Is an emotion attached to the actual memory that we remember that gets stored? And are you trying to do we remove this emotion away from that memory?
Well, that's another part of the unconscious mind. Absolutely. Not so much with working with habits. So addictions and habits are really the same thing, but I work with the unconscious mind is your feeling mind anyway. So I work with emotion. So I work with a lot of people for trauma, and I work with a lot of people for transformation. A lot of times when people come to me, we need to work on releasing the anger. We need to work on releasing the anxiety, any negative emotions that are holding them back, that are blocking them from achieving whatever they want to achieve. Clients become my clients because they're out of alignment. Consciously, they want one thing, but they've got different programming running on their unconscious mind. And so they feel out of alignment. And so hypnotherapy can put you back in alignment because it can change. We can just transform that unconscious, unwanted programming that people are having. So just going back to the addictions and habits, I'll give you another example. I work with a lot of people for pokie machines, and obviously you're not putting anything into your body, but they get the same cravings and urges and overwhelming desire as someone coming to me for drugs or alcohol or cigarettes.
So this is coming through the dopamine hit that you're getting from some of the reactions or things that you actually see, and some of the things that happen inside our body. I think it's dopamine and serotonin. These are the hits, even on a phone, right? So is that something we could use hypnotherapy for, to remove these addictions around social media? And because a lot of people are constantly flicking there for hours and just not wanting to do anything, and this. We could do so many things with hypnotherapy is what you're telling me, right?
Yeah, any unwanted habit that you have, you can break it with hypnotherapy and break up that patterning and change the association, disconnect the triggers. So I'll work with people for thumb sucking or nail biting or hair pulling or teeth grinding. It's all unwanted habits.
Teeth grinding?
Yeah, that's just a habit.
Even
anxiety is a habit. Even anxiety is a habit. So if Dr. Joe Dispenza wrote a book recently called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So everything we're doing, everything we're reacting, it's all coming from our past memories and experiences in our unconscious mind.
Oh, and Amanda McNeil jumped in saying that mind over matter. Really, is that what we're going through? But you're actually helping them bridge or remove something with hypnotherapy. Like, talk us through what it is and what's happening.
So, mind over matter to me. I've always thought. What does that expression mean? I always thought mind over matter was sort of like trying to use willpower.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what people do if they're trying to stop an unwanted behavior or habit. They're trying to use willpower. But the problem is the conscious mind's very small compared to the great almighty unconscious mind, which is thousands of times more powerful. 95% of the time, 95% of us are walking around on unconscious programming. So the way you react to things, the way you respond to things, your morals, your values, all comes from that unconscious programming. When someone has an unwanted habit, it comes from, from they've reinforced that behavior and over in the past to create a habit. And it's fine as long as they want it. Like someone might want to smoke for years and they're quite happy because they want to smoke, so there's no problem. They've just got this habit of smoking and they're fine with it. But then one day they decide, okay, I don't want to smoke anymore, and they try and stop and they find they can't. And if they try and stop, their unconscious mind is like, what are you doing? You need to smoke. And then they feel, and they might feel that emotionally mentally and or physically. And then they think, oh, that's the nicotine coming out of my body, but it's not. It's actually their unconscious mind saying, hey, what are you doing? You need to smoke. You always smoke now, because your unconscious mind is your survival mechanism. It wants to protect you, wants to look after you, wants to keep you alive, and it thinks smoking's good for you. And so it's actually nothing to do with the nicotine. It's just the unconscious mind thinking that it's time to have a cigarette, because that's what you programmed in there for years, reinforcing that habit over and over. It's the same with people if they've got a chocolate addiction. They know they want to lose 5 kilos, and they, every day they say, right, that's it. I'm not eating any more chocolate. I want to lose this 5 kilos. And then they find they're automatically eating it and they can't stop because it's out of their control. It's an unconscious behavior. And so they can come and see me and we just get them off sugar and break the habit of chocolate. And then they find they've got that freedom and they've got that control. And then they're like, wow, I don't want chocolate anymore, because we changed it on an unconscious level. We changed the perspective and broke that deeply ingrained habit.
Wow, this is actually opening up a lot of things for me, because I've always thought that, there's many different ways of trading this, but this is like a shortcut, and you're just really fast tracking, because what we've learned to understand as well is building a habit is something that you repeatedly keep doing, and to change or break a habit, you have to do the opposite for a number of days, and it's normally like 62 days was the given amount of time. So with hypnotherapy, what's the time? Is it shorter, or is
much shorter? So if someone comes to me for cigarettes, it's a 2-hour session. I'm working with a gentleman to lose weight at the moment, and in 2 weeks he's gone from overeating, constant eating, junk food eating, sugar addiction, and we've done, after he came back in 2 weeks later for a second session, and he was completely off sugar, completely off junk, had lost 5 kilos. And that was a habit, a lifetime of habits, like he'd been in the habit of doing that for his whole life, and we changed that in one session. So it's powerful, because rather than just trying to use your conscious changes, you're just going directly into the unconscious. So it's a shortcut to change. I don't want to take, if anyone's listening to this, and they know someone who's got serious problems with alcohol or drugs or gambling or something like that. I don't want to, and even food as well. Food's actually quite a tricky one. I don't want to take away from the fact that sometimes when I speak with people, it's not just a habit. It's not just something that they've created through repetition. Sometimes people are self-medicating. And so when people are self-medicating, we need to work with the deeper root cause issue first. So if someone comes to me and they're overeating, there's no point me working on breaking up the patterns of their food habits if they're eating because, they're traumatized and they're sad and they're just trying to make themselves feel better. So I need to work with the deeper root cause and get them feeling, release all of that and heal all of that first. Because if you just try and work with the food habit, the next time they feel like that, they're just going to override it and just go back and eat anyway. So sometimes with some things, you need to really look at, is there something deeper going on that needs to be addressed first?
That's a great point.
So how we say that with addictions and traumas and things, and I guess addiction can be like well, depending on what's small and big and variety of them out there. But I want to bring it down to you as a specialist. What is yourself for your own mental well-being? Because you must be in front of people that have got so much going on. What do you do to keep yourself in peak performance to be able to treat addictions and traumas?
What do I do to look after myself?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's very important that I do always separate myself from my client and sort of have a shield around myself to protect myself, because I'm working with clients all day. So I work with clients for 12 hours sometimes. So I think I'm very good at doing that anyway. I'm separate, as soon as the client arrives, I'm with the client. As soon as I leave, I'm back to myself again. So I'm very good at doing that anyway. I think I was actually reflecting on that today, and I think it's just from my own childhood, which I share in my book. I think I already knew how to sort of protect and separate myself anyway and not take on board other people's stuff. So I do that, and I also do a lot of yoga and meditation, and I sleep a lot. I like sleep. Sleep's very healing.
How often would you sleep?
How often do I sleep? So during the week, I'll sleep maybe 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours. Sometimes I might be busy and I get less sleep, but then I catch up. Over the weekend, I'll get more sleep. I just try to make sure I get plenty of sleep every night. Maybe on average 7 hours a night.
Okay.
7 to 8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, we just hear it from people. They're always on the go, working late, especially as small business owners or entrepreneurs and that, working long hours. But it really comes down to sleep, and we're hearing a lot of meditation, and it's one of the things that I'm trying to do as well. Is meditate more often. Most of the time you're like, just put it aside. I haven't got time for that. But even just 5 minutes, just do five minutes. It's amazing. So it's just good to hear some of the things as when you're in front of these people, because sometimes we take on emotions and things, but how do we take on our own self-care?
Sorry, is that a question? How do we take our own?
Oh, it was a bit of a statement. I was just looking at the time there.
Difficult to hear. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's all right. I was just looking at the time there too. That we'll have to we'll start wrapping it up. But thank you for coming on.
We're grateful that you've come on to explain, because this has actually opened up a lot more things for me. I've learned that we can fast track a lot of traumas and habits, or addictions really, they are the same now, and because it's repeated habit, something that you repeatedly do, that you probably form an emotional attachment to, and you can fast track people and get them out of this habit and get them back on their merry way.
Absolutely. And it's even just anxiety. It's the habit. People come to me for anxiety, and they've become very good at being anxious. They've responded a certain way, and the next time something's happened, they've responded that way. And it's like strengthening a muscle. They've got, they've strengthened that program of anxiety. So all of that's habits as well. So hypnotherapy can not only just release anything negative you're holding on to, not only get to the deep root core issue and let it go and heal it, but also you can create an anchor and program in, more of what you want, like happiness, joy. So I work with people to create more happiness, like more confidence, more energy, more self-assurance, more, being calm and relaxed and peaceful and content. So, you work on all of that too.
Wow. That it's really, really, truly opened up a lot more than what I thought it was. And especially from people who are on stage trying to get you to act like a chicken. And now we're talking about things where we can make changes in people to make them better, and as better people, as well as better in business. Because if we fix a lot of the things with health. We're going to have better lives from a personal and professional point of view. So stay tuned on that. We'll be bringing a lot more of that mental and well-being soon, and we'll have Juanita come along to some of the other talks and discussions we're going to have in the future. So thank you for coming on State of Mind. It was great to have you here and learn a lot more and learn more about what you do. We'll put links to what you currently do and put something in social media, and we'll try and do something in the near future.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Juanita. I mean, this is the first time listening to what you do and hearing. I've missed you at Edwards Ayres' last event. Probably see you at the next one.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right.
Okay.
See you all. Until next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.